newbie wows the crowds at Vienna's annual festival.
Welcome to another look at the international forecast. Starting with Australia, where we've got some very wet weather making its way into southern Queensland. You can see how the cloud is starting to fill in, it's pushing its way through, and we will see some extremely heavy rain. I think a real risk of further flooding coming into southern Queensland over the next couple of days. There's Friday's picture, that very wet weather setting in, and it's still there as we go on into Sunday. So, as I said, I think we will see some problems coming through. That wet weather joining up with the tropical downpours across northern Australia. To the south, it's largely dry and fine, but we have got some damp weather also making its way into Western Australia. Perth at around 30 Celsius should continue to brighten up. There's that bright weather down to the southeastern corner. It's hot for Adelaide, 31 Celsius. Come down into New Zealand, and it's been extremely windy here recently. Christchurch has had problems with some very windy weather. It will stay pretty disturbed over the next day or so. In the North Island, we'll see an increasing amount of rain through the course of Friday. Saturday sees that rain sliding its way up towards Auckland, and it will turn increasingly wet too across much of the South Island. We come further north into Indonesia. Again, some very heavy tropical showers coming through here. For Borneo, it is largely dry, but very wet weather will continue to make its way across the South China Seas in the coming days.
Anti-government protesters remain defiant on the streets of Egypt for a second week, their voice getting louder. Their demands remain unchanged.
This is a revolution in making.
As the Mubarak regime struggles to survive, Al-Jazeera brings you a day-by-day account of the popular uprising on the streets of Egypt, from those that witnessed them firsthand.
And watching this happen.
Standoff on the Nile, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. The top stories on Al Jazeera. More fighting in Libya as government opponents in Braqqa say they are in control of the town despite more air raids. The area has been under attack from forces loyal to Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi for 2 days. Tunisia's interim president has called an election on July the 24th to appoint a group to rewrite the constitution. But that means Fouad Mabazza will stay in power beyond his March the 15th deadline. At least 6 women have been shot dead at a rally for Alassane Ouattara in Côte d'Ivoire. Witnesses say they were shot by security forces loyal to Ouattara's rival, President Laurent Gbagbo. Back to Libya now, and concern continues to grow for many foreigners still stuck inside the country. The United Nations says that unless more is done, they'll be left stranded and in danger. Al Jazeera's James Bays reports.
Arriving in Tunisia, the flow of people fleeing Gaddafi's Libya continues.
Sit down, please. Sit down, sit down, sit down.
More than 95,000 in 10 days. Egyptians, Bangladeshis, Vietnamese and Chinese. However, one UN agency says it's concerned about the nationalities that aren't coming across.
The fact of the matter is that today we're not seeing West Africans, we're not seeing Sub-Saharan Africans coming out of the borders. The information that we are getting from inside Libya is that most of those nationals are terrified. They're living at home, they're hiding, their fear of being victims of xenophobic violence. We're getting emails of people who are saying they're running out of water, they're running out of food, they're running out of medicine.
Among the thousands of people who've left Libya, we found one group from Ghana. We were told Africans are being forced to fight by Gaddafi's loyalists.
I've even set my eye on some of my brothers in Zawiya. They will catch all of the blacks peoples and they will give you gun. And they will be at the back and they are saying that we should go forward and fight, once we don't even know how to fight.
They were beating us, harassing us, they killed some of them. Plenty of people, they've killed some of them in Zawiya, Sirte and Benghazi, some of them.
So was it quite terrifying when you came on this long journey to the border?
On the road, we have about 100 barriers on the road. But the soldiers on the road, all of them, they are thieves.
While conditions here at the border continue to ease, the area of most concern now is those that haven't made it this far. People who, because of the colour of their skin, are in hiding, fearful of both the government and opposition supporters inside Libya. James Bayes, Al Jazeera, on the Tunisian-Libyan border.
At least 9 people have been killed in a suicide attack at a police station in northwestern Pakistan. Officials say a lorry carrying explosives rammed into a security checkpoint in the town of Hangu. Around 30 others were wounded. The blast was so powerful that houses and shops in the area collapsed. Meanwhile, a court in Lahore has ruled that a CIA contractor accused of murder will not enjoy diplomatic immunity. Raymond Davis claims he acted in self-defense when he shot at the 2 Pakistani men. His detention has strained relations between the US and Pakistan. Our correspondent Kamal Haida has been following the case from Islamabad.
Davis was said to have been, on the day of the incident, Davis is said to have been riding in a private car. It was not registered in the name of the embassy, at which point he says somebody tried to rob him. The Pakistanis, of course, saying that the circumstances were very different, that the people never pulled out the gun. That, of course, is the police reports. But there were a lot of witnesses. This happened in a very busy area of Lahore, and therefore the public outcry became a real problem for the government, because on the one hand, it was the relationship with the United States. On the other hand, it was the backlash from the public. So the Raymond Davis case has, of course, received a lot of attention, a media hype. But it's very difficult for the government to maneuver when it comes to this complicated issue.
Turkish police have detained 6 journalists in connection with an alleged plot to overthrow the government in 2003. The arrests follow a 3-year-old investigation into a group known as Ergenekon. The Turkish Journalists Association says the detentions are a threat to press freedom. The United States says a former FBI agent who went missing nearly 4 years ago is being held in Southwest Asia. Robert Levinson disappeared during a business trip to Iran's Kish Island in March 2007. The U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has called for Tehran to help secure Levinson's safe return. Now, here's the story of a modern medical miracle. Doctors in Britain have brought a stillborn baby back to life by freezing her brain. Ella Claxton was starved of oxygen at birth, but the treatment has given her a second chance at a healthy life. Paul Brennan explains.
9-month-old Ella Claxton plays happily with her mother with no visible ill effects from what was a traumatic birth. Her mother's placenta had ruptured. It took doctors 25 minutes to get Ella's heart beating. And even then, it looked like the baby would be left brain damaged. Ella, they decided, would have to go to a specialist unit 50 kilometres away in Cambridge.
I didn't know what was going to happen, and they explained about this cooling treatment, that they were going to wrap her up and she was going to be cold